Malcontent News is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with three key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events, live, as it happens. To defend the First Amendment using our rights of a free press. And to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support Malcontent News is to bookmark our website at malcontentnews.com, like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and in the Google News app. To provide financial support, you can become a patron, make a one-time donation through Venmo, or link your Twitch account to your Amazon Prime account and use your free subscription to subscribe to Malcontent News. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent. Hey there, malcontents. Here's the malcontent. I know we're calling it happy hour on the intro. It's more of another pillow talk from the road. On the road. On the road again. Can't wait to get back on the road again. Wow, small audience. Roger, what's up? I'm going to go ahead and wait for the audience maybe to build up just a little bit more. And then we're going to go ahead and we will go ahead and get started. There's just something here I wanted to see. I don't know, did they read the message yet? Oh, they have read the message yet. Okay. K variable, what's up? What up? Wow, the audience got smaller. I guess we'll just go ahead and roll with it. How's everybody doing? I have a little bit of a rant. We got some COVID discussion, talking about York statue and Simone Biles. Those are kind of the three hot topics tonight. There's a fourth topic, actually, the infrastructure deal there. Stephanie, how are you? I know it's late at night on the road in California. So I want to talk about something that I saw today, where I'm just like, I'm a little more chilled out about it than I was a little while ago. So earlier today, over visiting mom, where she's at the assisted living facility, and there are two people in front of me in the lobby. Where you have to sign in, have your temperature check, and do all the contact tracing, because that is the requirement of the facility there. And they are in the lobby with no masks, grumbling about, masks are stupid and this and that and the other. They don't want to have their temperature checked. And then they're trying to sign in without their temperature being checked. I'm like, you have to have your temperature checked. It's not going to let you sign in. And then they just go on into this assisted living facility of people that are in their 70s, 80s, 90s, and 100s. Many of these people it's assisted living, right? They're not. These are not people that are tap dancing and running half marathons anymore. If you're in assisted living, you by default have comorbidities. And although everybody is vaccinated in there, of course, Delta is showing the propensity to break through. And there's an individual there. Yeah. And they were told to quarantine today. And apparently it was really ugly. I didn't witness it. I'm not going to get into what happened. I heard about it, and I heard about it through residents, not through staff. It'd be a HIPAA violation, but I'm just going to respect it. They're not happy about being in quarantine. And I know another individual now in the direct circle that's had a breakthrough infection and is actually pretty darn sick from a breakthrough, even though they are even though they're vaxxed. Delta is not a fuck around and find out variant of COVID. And out of Florida today, there are some videos that are very alarming in Florida. And what some people are saying, including people that may not necessarily be in the camp of they're vaxxed, but there are people who are sick and they can't get tested in Florida. And the lines in some of the areas at some of these testing sites in Florida are hundreds of cars long. And these are people who are symptomatic, who are trying to get tested, and the testing centers are closing for the day, and they're turning hundreds of cars away. I've seen some videos of this, and then in the comments of the videos, there's a ton of comments for people who claim they're in Florida, that they're seeing the same thing, or they're experiencing the same thing. And then a lot of discussion on, hey, if you go to here, you might have a better shot at getting tested than here, or that, this facility has less people, or this one won't shut down if there's people in line. They're not calling it a day. It's like, okay, we're closing. You come back tomorrow. But the word out of Florida is basically, which has been the word out of Florida for a year. They're cooking the books. And they're not cooking the books in a good way. And we know, like, for instance, in Orlando, they've run out of beds. We've talked about this elsewhere. And right now, Florida is, like, on every bad metric, Florida is collectively around third place. However, any metric where the state, where it say is number 2 or number 1, they're not universally owning second and first place. So, like, if you were to handicap the store, Florida is about the worst state in the country that you have for this. So great job, DeSantis. And of course, DeSantis, apparently something that I missed over the weekend, was like, you really should get vaccinated, okay? Because, like, you screwed it up for everybody. And he got roasted by the COVIDIOTS, the ANTIVAs. I love ANTIVA. I love ANTIVA. That's why I'm like, ANTIVA! And getting roasted by ANTIVA and COVIDIOTS. You've been bribed, you're a sellout, how could you? I'm like, ugh. If you just put on your cold, calculating, awful hat, you're at this point where you probably have, for every 90 people, for every 90, say, Trump supporters that are dying from COVID, you're probably losing 1 to 3 liberals. And then you probably have, caught in the crossfire, a small slice of people who are immunocompromised or children under 12 who can't get vaccinated. And let's not forget, the children, it doesn't, well, now the ICUs in children's hospitals are filling up with children. So let's face it, it wasn't about the children. It wasn't about any of this stuff. It's just about being, at this point, I don't even know what it's about. And it's getting harder and harder for me to be objective and not start saying awful things. Really, truly awful things. And I've read a couple of articles in the last 24 hours of, like, vaxxed and angry, vaxxed and frustrated. And you're like, yes, exactly. There is a not a plurality, there is a majority. 56, 58% is a majority. There is a majority of Americans that did what we were supposed to do. And the minority is now punishing the rest of us. I am exhausted from wearing a mask. I don't want to wear a mask, but I don't want to be a COVID long hauler either. So I'm going to wear the mask. I want to wear a mask. Tired of it. I was nice not to wear it for like 2 freaking weeks. And this is your friggin' fault. Not you, like my audience I'm listening to, but are listening to me right now. It's the anti-vaxxer stuff. Yeah, that's exactly right. Right, the first year of the 1918 Spanish flu, which didn't originate in Spain, by the way. It's just Spain was having it didn't originate in Spain. It's just everyone was mad at each other, so it was easier. It's hard to explain how it got to Spain. Anyway, didn't start in Spain, but it's called the Spanish flu. But the 1918, right, the first year was like, hey, we're over it, right? We did the exact same stupid shit. Take the masks off. It's a party. It's all good. And then, wham. And here we go. And what we've got right now, right, is these two Americas. And you can see it on the map. And the South is a sea of red. And you have people like Mitch McConnell and Steve Scalise and Ron DeSantis, Kay Ivey of Alabama, right? And they're going like, please, please, please get vaxxed. And I think it just really comes down to that they're worried about, oh my God, we're killing off our base. If this reaches a point that it starts crippling the economies in this state, and it's crippled because of COVID, then you're going to have people that are lying left and people that are more the middle, not the Trump wing. They're going to go, this is all your friggin' fault. You sold us a line of BS. You told us this was all good. It is not all good. And now our state economy is in the toilet. Because don't forget, all the safety nets go away. All the safety nets for the average Joes, the average slobs, are, I'm doing the math in my head, 38 days. 38 days. The eviction moratorium, the foreclosure moratoriums, they end this weekend at a federal level, right? King County, different states have moved the goalposts in different directions. King County has extended it, I believe, into September. I know Kirkland has done their own extension. Seattle's done their own extension. I think they all align into like September. I think the state of Washington did. But if you're in a red Republican state, your eviction foreclosure moratorium, yeah, it ends on Sunday. That's the first kick in the balls. Kick in the balls comes on the 6th. Because that's when a bunch of federal unemployment, and so because what happened is people sued and they were like, the states that cut it off were like, okay, we're going to turn it back on. So it's going to be turned back on just in time to turn it back off again. Because apparently it was illegal to turn it off. And it must be illegal to the point that the states aren't interested in fighting it. To be candid, I haven't researched it enough. That's why I'm just glossing it over. But for the rest of the country, 38 days away. Unemployment's gone, and it's not going to get turned back on. Triple P loans are gone. That's not getting turned back on. Airlines are looking for another bailout, ironically, and they may get it because they're big corporations. And the federal government covering the cost of COVID treatment for you and me and everyone else, yeah, it's getting ready to come to an end too. So I think that's what they're really concerned about come 2022. No safety net, no appetite for, because don't forget, right, we don't need it. Not one Republican voted for the third stimulus package. Not one. Because their argument was, we don't need this. So they're going to look like friggin' idiots if they backtrack on it. Mitch McConnell, he's the master of spin, right? He'll put the mashed potatoes in his mouth. Well, this time we didn't anticipate things will just make like the way they are now. Now things are much worse. We need to support the American people, especially the people of Kentucky, and we need another stimulus package. And the Biden administration clearly doesn't care about the American people, even though we didn't vote for the other stimulus package, and we fought tooth and nail not to extend some of these things into the end of 2021 or into early 2022, like the Democrats wanted to do in the first place. Ay. Go get a shot. Wear a mask. If you haven't got a vax, look, we're just waiting to see if people die. I'm going to give it a couple of years. It's been a year. No, it hasn't. People, oh, no. They were texting the vaccinations back in July. We're basically to August. It's been 12 months. People's testicles aren't exploding, penises aren't falling off, brains aren't oozing out of the ears, people aren't magnetic. My Wi-Fi didn't get any better. Very disappointed in this. I'm still hopelessly cis, only attracted to women, not gay. Sorry. I like what are you going to do to move the goalposts in another 12 months? Okay, well, people aren't sterile and dying, but we need to wait a little longer to see if it's going to happen. Of course, because here's the next thing that's coming. They're going to get full FDA approval. One of these vaccines is coming up on full FDA approval here in the next month or two. And then they're going to have a new argument. They'll have a new argument, you'll see, because it has nothing to do with any of it. And the part that it's like there was this story, we shared it among the mods and admins. A guy had a medical emergency in his car. Person's out for a jog, witnesses the medical emergency. Guy's having a major seizure or something, loses control of the car, ends up crashing on somebody's lawn. This good Samaritan pulls this person out. It's on the phone, 911, doing everything they can to stabilize this person, having a massive seizure. That's some of the best, right? I mean, if I think of America, that's the America that I want to think and believe that we are. And the guy who owned the house is outside screaming at the guy helping him, saying, drag him somewhere, move that car, drag him somewhere else. He can go die somewhere else than in my front yard. Like, literally. And that's the America we are. And I'm not saying that there isn't good stuff that happens. There's good stuff that happens every day. You know, I try to do my mitzvahs every day. And people that know me know, it's like, if you know, you know. Because I don't advertise my mitzvahs, and I hate people, and I hate this argument of, well, people only show bad things on videos, and that's why I'm going to use this homeless person as a prop, because I'm using it to inspire people to do good things. No, you're not. You're using that homeless person that you're giving a sandwich to as a prop. You're friggin' as bad as like the Save the Children ads that they used to show at like 2 in the morning. This here is Kipchoge. Kipchoge has not eaten in 4 days. Yeah, give him a fucking sandwich then if Kipchoge hasn't eaten in 4 days. I, on the other hand, look like I have never missed a meal in my life. Kipchoge may never live to reach adulthood unless you start sending us 1995 today. And you can help a special child, just like Kipchoge. God, those ads. It's like this. That isn't about showing goodness in the world. That stuff is just about guilt and propping yourself up for, oh, look at the great things I do. I don't advertise the shit I do. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, then you don't know. Was this, no, was it, no, it's not Suzanne Summers, it was Sally Struthers. It was Sally Struthers that would do it, because they made fun of her on South Park. Then there was some other dude. I can't remember the dude's name, but it was Sally Struthers that would do it. Suzanne Summers was doing the thigh master thing. I use the thighs, and I do hormone injections right into my vagina, and that's how I stay young. Oh, my God. Yes, he was like on Oprah or Ellen or one of the, like, I don't know. You have to be Gen X to understand this stuff. So Colombian variant, right. So there's Gamma, which is South American variant, and there's Lambda. So Gamma is the dominant strain in Illinois. And we put an article up a couple of days ago up on our website, malcontentnews.com. You'll have to scroll for a couple of articles. There is an early research paper from the CDC on Gamma, and Gamma, as far as like just being able to bulldoze through the vaccinated, is worse than Delta. Gamma's kind of like holy ass crackers. The good thing is that Gamma does not appear to be as transmissible as Delta, so Delta may be smothering Gamma out. But the concern is that right now in Illinois, in that state, Gamma's the dominant strain. And that's it's a little kind of weird that they have that cluster there. There is some good news. Let's talk a little bit about good news in Delta. So they have a super spreader event that happened in Provincetown, Massachusetts, July 4th, big July 4th celebration there. They've now connected 780 people that have become infected with COVID, the Delta variant, from the super spreader event that happened in Provincetown. Now, if you're not familiar with Provincetown, Massachusetts is a big time gay culture, big time LGBTQ. It's like Fire Island or, I forgot the neighborhood in Miami Beach. Capitol Hill 20 years ago. It's a major, major, major LGBTQ, and Provincetown has really never gentrified out from that. And the other thing is generally a pretty highly educated population that lives there, and it's really expensive to live there because it is right on the tip of Cape Cod. So there is a very high vax population. So the good news is that yes, 780 people have been infected. A lot. I didn't see the number. A lot of them vaccinated. Here's the good news: 3 hospitalized. That's it. Just 3. No fatalities. And with 3 hospitalized, the chance of fatality rate, because if you do the game, if you have 100 hospitalized, you're probably going to have 2 people die. So with 3, yeah, in theory, you might have somebody, but those are pretty good numbers. What they're seeing with Delta's breaking through. People are kind of getting really nasty cold-like symptoms, is the way I've read it kind of described, like a wicked cold, and flu had an awful baby, and that's what it's kind of like. But we're not seeing people getting hospitalized from it if they're vaxxed. And the people who are generally getting hospitalized are people who have additional comorbidities attached to it, and serious comorbidities. Same thing with the people, generally people that are vaccinated and dying are people that are 50 and over and have multiple comorbidities. I don't even know Epsilon. I'm going to have to look up Epsilon. I haven't even heard about that. Lambda is out of South America, but Lambda's transmissibility, its R0, is actually pretty low compared to both Gamma and Delta, and so they don't think Lambda is going to be able to get a hold. That essentially Gamma is just Delta. That Delta is just over on Lambda. And Lambda on paper is scary, but some of the right, because mortality rate, what they're seeing is over 9%. But there is some belief that the reason for that is poor grade medical care in South America overall. And the only people getting sick because tested because they have limited resources are the very sick, to kind of confirm, are we going to put this person on a ventilator or not, kind of thing. And those are the people getting tested. So you have low number of tests because they're seeing very, very high percentages of confirmation, low number of tests. Only the sickest getting tested, and a really strained medical system that really wasn't set up to deal with a bunch of sick patients in the first place. So, yeah, great question. And I can actually answer that, River and Ravens, on the R0. This is in the story that we have up on the website. Again, if you go back to Malcontent News, we have the story and we have the links to the data, right? Because we're trying to link back to all of this stuff so people can see the source and where it's coming through. The R0 for Delta is about R3.5 to R4. This is still about double the original strain. However, R6 is smallpox, polio, common cold, which is really, really bad because these are super infectious diseases, right? So to have the R around R3.5 to R4 is not R to 4, isn't as bad as 6, but it's not good. So the transmissibility number is not as bad as some of the initial data come out. And again, I'll put that up there. That's on our website, malcontentnews.com. We have a link to the paper. I think it's from Yale University. Don't hold me to that because that article links to a bunch of different research papers. But I believe it was out of Yale, indicating R35 to R40. Way better than 6. Still not good. Let's see. Sounds like that. The 2 Qs. And right now, I have not seen R numbers on gamma, but I know that they're very concerned on that. But because the breakthrough numbers they're seeing are really, really high among people in the vaccinated, among vaccinated communities that are seeing there. Is gamma the real Trump virus? Um, oh, God. Well, I just saw that Garth Brooks is coming to Lumen Field in September in Seattle. And look, we've talked about country music, what, a couple of weeks ago, right? And we were talking about a bunch of, look, I would be, I don't know, I would sign, there's no way. There's just no way. If we were where we were in middle June, I would probably go wearing a mask. I'm a hard no, and I'm really worried that that's just going to be a flippin' super spreader event there. I think it is an incredibly bad idea. You had a crush on who? Raymond, you had a crush on who? Sally Struthers or Suzanne Summers? I think a lot of people had a crush on Suzanne Summers. I mean, let's face it. If the injections and the gynae were working, I don't know, it looked like it was working. I don't know. I just was a bizarre thing to say on TV. It also just kind of this it's kind of this elitist thing, right? It's like, oh, just go see your voodoo doctor, pay out of pocket for your daily shots and your. It just sounds horrible. Yeah, I think a lot of people had a crush on Suzanne Summers, and of course, she wasn't the idiot or the ditz that she played on Three's Company. That's a people always like, what show couldn't you do it? Three's Company would be impossible today. That show wouldn't last one episode on TV. Three Company would be friggin' impossible today. Could you could you see that today? Just friggin' no. I know. I mean, did they even show reruns anywhere? Oh my. Lollapalooza requires proof of vaccination or a negative code. Yeah, the problem is, are they going to be confirming lot numbers, right? Because if you're not confirming the lot number on the vax, then it's easy to falsify the vax card. Anyway, that's kind of COVID. The other big news is, which is kind of local news, Google announced all office-based employees are going to be required to be vaxxed. This is a big local news story because in Kirkland there is a huge Google campus. There's plans to expand that campus. The property where Lee Johnson Chevrolet is today, Google's going to be building there. So Google has big long-term plans in the Kirkland area for offices and a return to office space. And if you spend some time in some of the fringe local community groups in Kirkland, which aren't very community, there's definitely some tech workers, maybe not necessarily with Google in there, very strong opinions about vax. They're hardcore Antivas. And I'm personally, this is where one of these things where I'm like, I can't wait to see the comments that they're going to make because these are the same people that when, say, somebody at the Amazon warehouse goes, oh my God, they make me work so hard that I have to pee in a bottle. Well, if you don't like it, quit and get another job. Yeah, if you're at Google or Facebook, because Facebook announced a few minutes literally after Google, or Netflix, because Netflix announced, if you work at any of those three companies, you don't like it, just quit and go get a job somewhere else. I have it on good authority. I'm not going to say which company because it's under embargo, but I have it on good authority. One of the other big tech companies in the Puget Sound area, and that's a pretty short list at this point. Um, I will say it isn't necessarily limited to Amazon and Microsoft. There's other tech companies that actually have a really, just to kind of maybe throw you off the trail a little bit. eBay, like a lot of people don't realize this, eBay has a big presence here. You, of course, have Expedia. is a major company with thousands of employees here. And Apple has a very significant tech presence in the Seattle area. Just to name, and Uber, another company, huge Uber presence in Seattle. Just to maybe throw you off the scent trail a little bit on some things. But I have it on good authority that another major tech company is announcing tomorrow. Now, let's adjust. Oh, that's right, Adobe. That's true. Adobe, and technically, who bought Concur? Oh, let's back this. Concur, I believe, was bought by, no, SAP. SAP, I believe, bought Concur. So you have Concur, we have the SAP, and then technically you have the big Salesforce presence because they bought the data analytics company. Gosh darn it, I'm drawing a blank on their name. And they have a big presence in Kirkland also. Yeah, Salesforce bought, damn. Gosh darn it. Who the hell is it? It's the big, um, they do the dashboards. There's a lot of them that if you go out and you use these public dashboards for data, they do data analytics. Gosh darn it, I can't think of the name of what the company was. Anyway, Salesforce bought them. So Salesforce has a big presence, and including in Kirkland. So, but if we think about tech companies, right? Google, and I would say Salesforce too, and then GoDaddy has. They don't have like a huge office. There's a few hundred people, but I don't know how many employees GoDaddy. Tableau. Thank you so much, MT. Thank you so much, Tableau. I just went a total blank on them. It's a tool I've used. I haven't used it in a while. And yeah, they were inhaled by Salesforce. It's Tableau. And I know, again, they have a tech office in there. So there's a lot of kind of big tech companies. My belief is, because we've had Netflix, Google, Facebook, kind of like that, my belief is we're going to see a tidal wave of large companies that are going to do this. And I'm going to tell you why I think this is happening. And I think it's happening for a delicious reason. Because this is kind of like, well, you reap what you sow. I don't believe that corporate America does nothing. I don't care how altruistic the company is. Corporate America does zero if there isn't a cost-benefit analysis attached to it. What are the dollars? So then, where does the dollar motivation come from corporate America to go, you must have a vax if you're going to come back in the office. And if you're not, you're going to get the Donald Trump treatment. You're fired. He did that. He did that, the hand thing. You're fired. You're fired. We friggin' all loved that 20 years ago. Guilty. You're fired. Yeah, that person deserved. Jesus Christ, and we buy into a line. Fortunately, kind of like by about 15 years ago, I'm like, I don't know, this feels a little weird. Something bullshitty going on here. You're fired. So, why do I think this is going on? I think insurance companies are driving this, because what's getting ready to end is, right now, if you get COVID, you go to the hospital, right? Because let's not forget, the political right has been screaming about this. Oh, if they get a COVID patient, they get more money if it isn't a COVID patient. This was one of the tinfoil hat conspiracy theories from the COVIDIOTS. They're saying everybody has COVID so they can get more money. And so part of what that third stimulus package was putting a finish line to this. There is a finish line that is coming on the government paying 100% to treat COVID. There's no appetite to make this go. So guess who's going to be picking up the tabs? Private insurance companies who wield unbelievable power in this country. So this is what I think the conversations are going on here. Yes, hello. This is the underwriter to your company's private insurance company. And if you think about a company like Google, who may be underwriting it themselves. Microsoft at one point I know was essentially the funder of their own insurance policy when I worked there as an FTE. I don't know if that's the case today. So then you have their internal bean counters adding up the money on this. And they're like, yes, if people start all getting really sick from COVID, it's going to get real expensive. So this is what we're going to do. You're either going to say everybody has to get vaccinated and you're going to have to get proof that they're vaccinated, or we're going to raise your rates. And we're not going to raise your rates a little bit. We're going to raise them a lot. And I think corporate bean counters right now are having those conversations with insurance. This is opinion. This is not fact. Because I know there's times I get into fact. This is my opinion. And the reason I say this is my opinion is corporate America doesn't do anything if there isn't a cost-benefit analysis. They won't do a damn thing. So why mandate COVID vaccines? If you're a company, these high-end tech companies that are providing really premium health packages to their, because that's one of the perks of working in tech. You have access to outstanding insurance, right? Because that's one of the competitive pieces of this. If all of a sudden you're going to start picking up the bills, it's going to get passed around, right? All those big, beautiful insurance, all those progressive ads with Flo and Limu Emu with God, what are they thinking with those ads with Liberty Mutual, and all the Geico ads? Who pays for the rate holders? Pay for that. That's paid for chump money. So that's actually what I think is driving this. What I think is driving this is the insurance companies are telling businesses, your rates are going to skyrocket. But if you don't want that, if you want the cheaper rate, then you're going to push people to get the COVID vaccine. And that's what I think it is. Now, here's the delicious part. These are the same people that are going to be pissed off about this are the ones who have fought so hard for work to right states. I hate unions unless it's a police union. No. Don't touch the police union. But the rest of the unions are evil, but not police unions. We like police unions. Firefighters, teachers, Boeing, right? They fought against this. And they have right to work states. You can't show discriminatory behavior in requiring a vaccine. It's not a protected class. You don't make yourself a protected class. You're getting hoisted on your own. You got everything that you wanted. You got the federal government out from paying for COVID. You got them out of that. Now you're going to have private insurance companies driving the decision choices, and you empowered employers to have employment at will because unions are so bad. And the ironic thing is, if you worked at one of these tech companies and there was a union, then you could go to your union and the union could do collective bargaining with the corporation if there was enough people who were against vaccinations within that union to say, we're going to go on strike if you require us to get vaccines. But they don't have that power. They took it away. But of course, they're not going to look at it that way. This is going to be the grand conspiracy of Joe Biden. Joe Biden, right? It's the same Republican fuckery. And I'm no fan of Joe Biden, by the way. I've slagged him out on many things. But Joe Biden is simultaneously an evil mastermind and completely incompetent all at the same time. He has to wear diapers. They have to prop him up. They don't have any questions. He's not mentally well. And it's all his fault because he's controlling this and I have to get a vax at work. So which one is it? Cognitive dissonance is just amazing, isn't it? Yes, that's Amara. That's a great summary of right to work. Yeah, Geico, of course, they have huge offices because they're making money off of chump money. That's like casinos. Casinos aren't built on winners' money. They're built on losers' money. Insurance companies exist to make a profit and answer to shareholders. The end. So anyway, that's what I think's going on there. Another thing that we have up on our website, malcontentnews.com, it's the lead story that's up there right now. So you go to malcontentnews.com, that's the first story you're going to see. York statue was vandalized for the third time in 4 months in Portland. And this time it has probably done the statue in. It was toppled off of the pedestal, which was no small feat. The face has been completely smashed in on it, top of the head smashed in. You know, a vile act of vandalism and hate, and done in the, of course, in the dark of night, and no suspects, and I doubt they'll ever find anything. They never found anything on the first vandalism. The woman who did the vandalism in June 8, I believe, is the day that she vandalized the York statue. She did it in broad daylight. She taunted people, you know, get me arrested. Guess what? She got her wish. She got her ass arrested. She's facing 4 criminal charges, including hate crime charge, because of her actions caught on video and her words. They have nothing on this. It's just a crappy act, right? It's just such a crappy act. And that's all there is. There's only been 100 comments. You guys are quiet tonight. It's a totally crappy act that happened up there on the York statue. The picture that we have up on the website, again, malcontentnews.com, picture that we have up there is pretty awful. It's really, really sad. By the way, you know what? If we gotta go ahead and drop this, go ahead and spam those hearts. Spam those hearts for our mods and admins. They're working late tonight. Let them know that they're doing, you think, a great job. Also, go ahead and lie to the Twitter and Facebook algorithm. Let people believe there's actually something worthwhile to watch here. When you do that, if you're not feeling very spammy, you can go ahead and give a like. You can do that too. If you're on our Twitch channel, you can go ahead and use our emotes, including the Yoda emote, if you are a subscriber. If you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can go ahead and take $2.50 right out of Jeff Bezos's pocket and put it right into our pocket by using your Amazon Prime account to set up a free subscription to our channel on Twitch. And you can literally take $30 a year from Jeff Bezos and put it in our pockets. And Jeff Bezos has the money to spare. If you're on YouTube, you got nothing special over there, because YouTube, they're just YouTube. It is what it is over there. Stephanie, I don't know. I have no idea what it, who it is. There was some chatter about. We'll talk about Simone here in a little bit here. There's some chatter about some potential activity from the Chuds.
These are Chuds.
Cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers.
There's some talk from the Chuds about August 7th and protesting at all 50 capitals. However, there isn't a whole lot of chatter that I'm seeing on this in particular anywhere. Not even seeing kind of level of chatter on some stuff, say, that was kind of bubbling up in March last year. It's even quieter than that. So I don't think there's anything there. And then, of course, we've got this Mike Lindell.
Did IQs just drop sharply while I was away?
Yeah, apparently they have. Mike Lindell's got his thing on the 10th through 12th, and of course there's still some people like, Donald Trump's going to get reinstated on the August 13th. It's like, based on what? Right? It doesn't work that way. There is no constitutional provision for this. There's zilch. There's nada. There's nothing. So, Bezos has enough dough to give every person on Earth $26. Holy ass crackers. Is that all? Actually, I think that number sounds low to me. Yeah, so to answer the question there on York, York was a slave on the Lewis and Clark expedition. There are, in trying to romanticize the history, one of the people go, he is the first African American to make it to the Pacific coast. Yay. And the other one is that apparently at some point they like voted on which side of the river to stay on. And the word is that Sacagawea and York got to vote in that vote. So he's the first black man in American history that got to participate in a vote. He was a slave. And when he got back, he was like, I would like to not be a slave anymore, like you promised. And the word is like, yeah, you're still a slave. Get bent. That's what the word is. And he apparently died, I believe, of cholera. Um, and there's not a lot known about him other than his life wasn't actually really good after he got back, and that he was probably pretty unhappy when he got back because he had at least a degree of some more rights and privileges when he was on the expedition than when he was a full, operating as a full-on slave in early 1800s America. Um, This leads to eco-fascism, which has become the dominant ideology for chuds as climate change really kicks in. Um, yeah, the thing that's kind of like becoming, of course, it's horrifically delicious because it's like, oh my God. People there are people who are say maybe a decade older than me. It's like, it's not my problem anyway because I won't be alive when all this shit happens, and I'm like the shit starting to happen while they're still alive. You can see someone kind of going, oh shit. So this is kind of some delicious on that. I want to talk about Simone, Biles and what happened with her, and some of the camaraderie, and some of the comments of the camaraderie that they had to say about her. I've said many times that I love Gen Z, sorry, millennials. And I know I actually have a pretty big millennial audience. And I know my millennial audience got bigger after I stopped bagging on millennials. So I'm not going to bag on you anymore, millennials. I promise. I'm going to let it go. But I really love Gen Z. One of the things that I think that Gen Z really has brought to the table is normalizing conversations on mental health. I think millennials started it, but Gen Z really normalized it. And the collective trauma of 2020 really has put mental health more in focus. And I think this is one of the reasons that we are having this massive surge of violence in 2021. And we're seeing all these videos of people that are losing their collective shit over like, oh my God, the slice of the tomato on my burger isn't thick enough. And that's why I'm going to pull out my gun and start threatening people in this damn fast food restaurant. Right? This is this kind of stuff we're literally seeing right now. And it can feel like society's breaking down. But what I think it is this unaddressed mental illness, this unaddressed collective trauma of the isolation, of the quarantines, of, everything that was kind of normalcy disrupted, being able to just go out to eat. Look, these people who were preppers, right? Remember what happened in April of 2020? Like all the lockdowns started in March. And by April of 2020, these people who were like hardcore preppers in Michigan were like pissed off because they couldn't get a friggin' haircut. And we're snowflakes. Just, oh God. I'm here for my right for a haircut. America. Oh my God. But we had this collective trauma, and it has brought mental health into the spotlight in this country. And Gen Z is really open about talking about mental health. There's a video that we have up on our very ignored TikTok channel because I really feel that TikTok is a toxic platform, and we were really excited about it. We're getting a lot of traction, and then it was just like, wow, this platform's toxic. We really backed off. We do very, very, very little up there now. But one of the videos I had up there is actually thanking Gen Z. I ended up in ADHD TikTok. If you're not familiar with TikTok, what happens is the AI starts rabbit holing you down into things that interest you. And went through a lot of ADHD TikTok, and I was like, wow, that's me. Wow. I got an evaluation in June, and surprise, yeah, you have untreated adult ADHD, and you have it really friggin' bad. Like, really, really bad. Like, oh my God, how have you functioned as long as you have with this ADHD? And I finally have my first, like, real appointment coming up on Monday, and I'm super excited about it. Millennials deserve to get roasted for their poor voter turnout. Yes. I'm an elder millennial. We deserve to get shit talked, but not about avocado toast. But this is my new thing too. Like when I see video, this is all Biden's fault. The gas has gone up 90 cents a gallon from last year. That's how much it's gone up, 90 cents a gallon. Maybe if you cut back on the avocado toast in your Starbucks and you made better financial choices than buying a $70,000 truck that gets 16 miles to the gallon, you wouldn't be having these problems. Lay off the avocado. Oh my God, we got to remember with Simone Biles. Simone has been conditioned from the sexual abuse that she suffered at the hand of Larry Nassar and her trainers, and that the organizations, U.S. Gymnastics, the Olympic Committee, and of what we've learned now, the FBI, that should have protected her and her fellow gymnasts, utterly failed her. So for her, the thing that she loves, the thing that she is the greatest to have ever lived, is nothing but trauma. It's like for her, I would imagine performing for her is like in Clockwork Orange, Stanley Kubrick's interpretation of this, and they would play Beethoven's Ode to Joy to make this kind of the control music, and they ruined Ode to Joy for a far less sympathetic character than Simone Giles. And so for her to perform gymnastics and practice and work with trainers is just pure trauma. And, it's like, people in the silent generation, right, were, my mother's silent generation. People in the silent generation were, if something made them uncomfortable or something, it was like, I am just going to ignore what makes uncomfortable and I'm going to turn it inward into self-loathing and self-hatred. For boomers, it's I would like to speak to a manager, please, and I must be made to feel important. For my generation, Gen X, we were like, we're just not going to talk about it because our boomer parents were, I would like to talk to a manager, please, and I need to feel important. And so expressing to our parents, hey, I'm having a problem. It's just, suck it up, buttercup. Life sucks. Then you die. So we didn't talk. We just don't talk, right? We just don't talk. We just wake up in the morning and get a pew and salt the end of it and put it in so it'll taste a little better and put it in our mouths. And go, yeah, not today. Maybe tomorrow, though. Millennials talk about it more. And millennials started this thing. I need a mental health day. I remember I was first in what the, they were taking a what? A mental health day? What the hell's a mental health day? I'm ready to burn the building down. I need a day, so I'm going to take a day. I come in here every day wanting to burn the building down. I just come in and show up like every other person of my generation. They made a whole movie joking about it. It's called Office Space. Every Gen X tech worker, every Gen X office worker so associated with that movie Office Space, which by the way is that old now. We all just were like, holy crap, the TPS report. I could burn the building down. That's it. That's the last straw. Oh my God, the printer. Truth. PC load letter. You have to be Janet, right? Millennials don't know what PC load letter is. If you were Gen X and you did anything in an office with the HP LaserJet 3 printer in particular, you knew exactly this error message, PC load letter. And because if you got that error message, right, the printer is now just curled up in the fetal position, basically. And if it's a shared printer with a print queue, whoever said something that created the document in A4, or yeah, so somebody fired a document in A4, now it wants letter size paper because it thinks it has A4 in the printer, and it's just curled up in the fetal position. So yeah, HP LaserJet 3, which like every office had, because that was the Toyota Corolla of laser printers. It just worked, except for PC load letter. Oh my God. You said it, sent a document in the wrong size paper. It just curled up in the fetal position. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I read a comment, and it's on our Twitter. There's our Twitter. You can go on our Twitter. It's on our Twitter. And so somebody wrote this screed against Simone going, you never saw Michael Jordan, tap out from mental health. Like literally, they wrote that. And I'm like, okay, we're talking about the same Michael Jordan that quit basketball after his father was murdered, didn't play for 2 years, kind of did this weird baseball thing when he just wasn't his thing in the first place and his heart wasn't in it. And the original you will never watch the original Space Jam again after I say this. The original Space Jam, and I felt this way when I watched it the first time, was nothing but a celluloid therapy session and a magnum opus from Michael Jordan to his father and his act of healing to get back to basketball. And that's what Space Jam was about. Because one of the whole themes in Space Jam was, right, the whole opening thing on his dad and how the movie opens up and his dad's always there for him and his dad believes in him. And then his dad's gone and he's doing the baseball thing and I don't play basketball anymore. And that's what Space Jam was about. Jordan sure as hell tapped out. He tapped out for 2 years from mental health after his father. And as far as I'm concerned, we need more of this in this country because we have such a rampant mental health problem in this country right now. And we need more of this ability to go, I need to tap out for a little bit. That means you're weak. No, it doesn't. You know how strong it is to go, that's it? Check, please. What an act of strength and bravery that is. Don't forget, the people who are saying suck it up, don't forget about this one too. The same people are saying she needs to suck it up are the exact same people who a year ago were screaming about how lockdowns are going to make people depressed and increase the suicide rate. The data actually shows the suicide rate went down, and these are the same people that don't even whisper about suicide right now. And the number of veterans that are yeeting themselves and unaliving themselves has gone up in 2021. It's going up again. And it was already at an unacceptable level. You don't even hear about it. Right? And it goes back to the whole, right, I know I've looped it back to the COVID thing. It's like, it had nothing to do with unaliving. It's got nothing to do with yeeting. They didn't care, and they don't care. But they hold others to impossible standards that they wouldn't hold to themselves. And we're going to see that on full display, because now I'm going to circle this back. I don't think we're just going to see tech company. I think we're going to see an avalanche of corporations requiring vaccinations. And the law is on the employer's side. The law is not on the employee side because the party that these people support have spent 40 years dismantling the laws to protect the workers. They're getting hoisted on their own COVIDiot petards. But Simone, she had every right to go, I'm not doing this. Her head was not in the game. She couldn't, and boy, does that take, oh, but we only got the silver. Yeah, whatever. Really? Whatever. I mean, these Olympics this year are such a friggin' sham anyway. I'm like I could so care less about the Olympics this year. I think officials in Tokyo and organizers like, do you guys remember when it was in Utah, with Salt Lake City, and Mitt Romney was running it, and there was like tons of accusations of corruption and bribery, right? And it was total shit show. Like Tokyo is friggin' 100 times worse. Tokyo today logged the highest number of new COVID cases that they have ever logged through the whole friggin' thing. Now, that number's 3,000. And Tokyo is one of the largest cities in the world. So compared to the United States, which had over 60,000 today, chuds. 60,000. And states like Florida and Texas are cooking the friggin' books. 60,000. Anyway, Tokyo had their highest number of COVID cases today detected, 3,000. You've had, you've had issues around transgender. You've had issues around black. You had the two Namibia. I'm very upset because I have a very soft spot in my heart for Namibia. You had the two Namibian runners that your testosterone's too high, and it's like that's my genetics. That's who I am, right? What happened to those runners in Namibia would be like going to Michael Phelps and go, well, your lungs are 30% bigger than the other competitors, so you have an unfair advantage. So no, you can't go in the swimming things because your lungs are freakishly large. That's literally what happened to these Namibian runners, and I hate it because they. And then this whole thing with Russia, right? And Russia's banned for the games. Okay, we're banned. What if we showed up, but we weren't like Russia? We called ourselves something else? Okay, like what? Like the Russian Olympic Committee. What if we did that? Yeah, that's cool. You could show up as the Russian Olympic. I mean, what a load of bullshit. Roger and I, and I agree. I think Mittens got unfairly called out on some stuff, and I think at the end of the day, Salt Lake City derived a lot of benefits from them. I mean, certainly the improvements in the interstate highway system, public transit that came with having the Olympics there. By the way, a reminder: Seattle could have had all of those benefits, and we could have had light rail and all of that other stuff, all that. But city official, because I remember. I think Seattle was it 2012 or 2016 where Seattle was like at first, and they were like, yeah, no, because I remember when I first moved here, Seattle was pretty like considered like a favorite to get the Olympics, and then Seattle's like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that because oh my God, it might turn us into a big city if we do that. Now we have the West Seattle Bridge ready to fall down in our rinky-dink light rail system, which is costing way too much money, and I'm still no fan of ST3. Namibia is coming, yes. Oh, yes, the women outfits thing, the fines that the Norwegian women got. It's just like it's just been the person who did the opening ceremony. Oh, they were making Nazi jokes, and we just figured that out now. Jesus Christ, guys. Really? It's just it's somebody I know who's noting it's like all the signs still say 2020 even though it's 2021 because apparently they didn't want to spend the money updating the signage. And then of course we have this with with poor Simone. By the way, my mother had some of the Olympics on today. I had no idea that rugby was an Olympic sport, number one, and I had no idea there was women's rugby. Um, like, holy shit, times two. I saw that about Pink, and I think that is friggin' amazing that they're doing that. Um, Hello, Roger's wife, and thank you for watching. Um, Imran, did you know that the whole shebang is a brand of potato chips that you can only buy in prisons? And the word is they are friggin' incredible potato chips. They are supposed to be really, really good. You can only buy them in prisons. Every now and then you can find a bag on eBay, and they're really ridiculously expensive. Rebecca, I totally agree, and I have mad respect for it. Just a good week ago, I didn't know that rugby was an Olympic sport. I didn't. I had no I had no idea. Anyway, the game that my mother had on, it was Canada versus Brazil, and Canada was just they needed a mercy rule. They were up 33 to nothing. They were just scoring like this, and I mean, they need a mercy rule at some point. It just has to be okay, mercy. Um, I know, and I love that you're with us tonight, just a Kiwi gal and girl. And I know you're only on usually when we're on really late at night. And I'm looking at the time. That's why you see me looking down here. I think we're going to call it a wrap. I've covered all of the topics that I'm going to cover. Um, we'll do another informal show tomorrow. I'm on the road on Friday, on the road on Saturday. If I can find a signal, because we're going to probably do some wildfire coverage because they got heat dome. By the way, on the subject of, I've seen some reports that some smoke from wildfires could come into Western Washington. Nothing like we had last year so far. Nothing like we had last year. But there is some reports that I saw that like over the weekend some smoke could come in. Now, I've looked at the smoke models, the ones that I look at, the high resolution CONUS maps, and I'm not seeing it. I am seeing the same areas in central and eastern Washington being particularly bad this weekend, particularly the north central part of the state, but that area has been getting hammered. Like the Winthrop area, and maybe about as far down as Wenatchee. Maybe not to Wenatchee, but like north of Wenatchee and up. Those areas look to just be gnarly. But I'm not seeing it for Western Washington. But I'll keep my eyes on it. Friday, obviously, is going to be really hard for me to keep my eyes on anything because I'm going to be behind the wheel of the car and streaming and stuff. I I wanted to get up to the Dixie Fire. The problem is it's about 3.5 hours from here, one way. So it'd be like a good 10, 11 hour day because you figure 3.5 hour drive there. Then once you drive there, it's 3 to 4 hours. And then there's no guarantee that I could position myself to get anything that's kind of worthy up there, and then have to, 3.5 hours back. Um, so, yeah, Roger, I saw that. Again, what I'm seeing in the weather models, it's not Western Washington. It's going to be Oregon and it's going to be Eastern Washington, where the marine layer is going to continue to protect Western Washington and like a sliver of the Oregon coast. So I don't think the Puget Sound area looks like it's going to get too toasty. Um, which was the view that I had before I left, because people were asking before I left to come down here, hey, I'm hearing grumblings about a heat dome, and I looked at some of the weather models, and my initial view was we may get hot, like we might get to 90, which is hot for us, like a normal heat wave. Certainly not anything like we saw at the end of June, but I don't see that for this weekend for Puget Sound. Now, I will say, if we get a offshore flow, if we get the flow coming off of the mountains, that will start pulling smoke into Puget Sound. But I'm not seeing a big smoke event coming up for the late weekend. But I'll continue to monitor that. So, focusing on real life, folks respecting her space, cover prior there, miles less on a road trip, so it's not in studio video, check title. Why, what's going on here? Oh, at CYD. Oh, there you go. Now I'm like reading up on the things here. I'm on the road, so that's why this is pillow talk. So we're a little bit dirty here. Fiji's got a lot of COVID. The whole shebang. Oh my god. Yeah, so in the commissaries and prisons, there are companies that make specific products just for prison commissaries. Some products are made because of requirements in there. Like, for instance, let's say you work at a prison and allows you to have you get perks for good behavior. So let's say one of the perks maybe is having a small laptop. The requirements, though, then is that has to be clear. It has to be in a clear case. If you have a TV, it has to be in a clear case, a see-through case. So there are companies that make these specifically, but then in the food and the commissaries, there are companies that make specific food for prison commissaries, and the whole shebang potato chips are just sold through prisons. And I saw something about it, and then it got me going down the rabbit hole and reading and stuff. They are supposed to be friggin' amazing potato chips. And again, if you go on eBay, every now and then you can find a bag of them on eBay, and they sell for stupid money. So, yeah, like no cans, no bottles and stuff. Every now and then on TikTok, if I'm watching TikTok, every now and then I end up on prison TikTok, and I'm like, what the fuck? How am I on prison TikTok? And there'll be there's people who are in prison, and like they're showing the rest. It's cooking in prison. So I think it's because I have interest in cooking and kind of these fringe cooking things, like of this guy out of Bermuda that makes all the awful food recipes. But there'll be people. I have one that I saved. It was guys like, this is how you make peanut butter brittle in prison. And the recipe made so much sense. It was so logical. I friggin' saved it because it's like, I'm going to make this one day. I am going to try and make this because this recipe makes so much friggin' sense. And it looks like it's actually really good. This reminds me, I don't even, Astonicon's Cash IG streams. Really? I love my rabbit coals. Can't wait for this cooking video. That was actually an original vision for this channel years ago, right? This was Weighty Wednesday, and we made a couple of cooking videos. I got news for you. Cooking videos take so much stupid time. You have no frickin' idea how much work goes into a cooking video. And that's why I stopped. I did like 3 of them, and it was just hours to make these videos. Hours. And that's why I stopped. A chip's so good you'll have to go to jail to eat them. You're hired. You're total. Yeah, that's the guy out of Bermuda, the mock apple pie thing. I remember that recipe used to be on the box when I was a little kid. And I remember reading this recipe as a little kid. I have heard that the Ritz Cracker mock apple pie is friggin' amazeballs. That it really tastes like apple. It has the consistency of apple, and it's friggin' amazing. Yeah, exactly. K variable. There's a ton of B-reel that you have to do. You have to use really bright lighting because you're shooting everything at 60 frames. And so when you're shooting in that fast frame rate, then the lighting has to go up. Um, Focus issues, depth of field is real critical, and then what the camera may focus on because there's things moving around going on. You got to have like funky camera mounts, and it's a shit ton of work. And as I said, I did like 3 of them, and I was like, oh my god, just no, no. I can't even remember the last time I ate a Ritz cracker, by the way. I seriously can't. All right, malcontents, I'm gonna go. I'm contemplating there is a little gas station a short walk from here with a convenience store that, by the way, has Proud Boys on the outside. Keep it classy, Vacaville. You're keeping it freaking classy. But anyway, they have It's there. If you haven't had an It's legit. It's a San Francisco thing. You just had some or Ritz crackers. I would love to have a camera crew. Holy shit. No, Pamela, I didn't actually have a lot of problem with that. It's just because we're not doing like still photography. If we do client photography or food, we employ a number, because we do the business side of the house. We do client photography for food, and we employ some of the tips of some of the tricks of the trade to prevent things like working under food under hot light. And the other thing is we use a lot of LED lighting. So generally doesn't heat up. It's the rest of the equipment that actually is generating heat, the computer horsepower that you're using for processing and recording videos. I like club crackers. I like Townhouse club crackers. I like those. And yeah, they should have that on the scroller. I never even updated the scroller for this thing, but it's still pretty relevant. Club crackers. I like those. And Triscuit. I have to admit, I'm a Triscuit whore. I love Triscuit. Oh, Triscuit whore. You're a Triscuit whore! Would you kill a man for a Triscuit? All right, so back to an It's It. It's It. If you're not familiar with It's It, it's a San Francisco thing. It's an ice cream sandwich. But my mouth's watering now. It is like spicy, not spicy like hot spicy, but it's kind of like spiced graham cracker instead of like a chocolate, so you think of an ice cream sandwich with like the chocolate. No. This is like graham cracker. And then they have a chocolate one, so it's chocolate ice cream. They got a vanilla one, and then they have a mint chocolate one, and like all 3 of them are nuts. They're so friggin' good. Shelley is a Triscuit whore too. Triscuit whores unite. It is totally insane on food shots what we have to do, and some of the fakery, and it is. The other thing when you're doing food photography is it's like if there is the slightest little tiniest drop that isn't in the right place, right? When you go to post, there's like a little streak on the plate or something. It's like, right here, you screwed up. Right here, you see that? You screwed up. Everything has to be perfect. It's like before you shoot, you're just looking at everything. And when you're doing multiple takes, the other thing is you have to be so careful to not bump, nudge, move, anything, so that whatever's in that set doesn't move. It's feels like you're defusing a bomb, right? It's like, oh my god, did I touch the flower? Did I touch the flower? The bomb will go off if I touch the vase of the flower. I just reach over like this. Oh, there's a little streak on the plate. We do that. Oh my god, I turned the plate. I just blew up all our B-reel we just shot, and we have to start all over again. Triscuit nachos. See, now, I could actually make nachos in the microwave that I have here in the hotel room, and I have the supplies for that. And I guess that's what I really should do instead of getting it. Pineapple whip. They have that at if you mean like the pineapple whip like you get in Hawaii, the Dole Whip, I know they have it at one of the frozen yogurt places. Okay, I'm gonna go. Everybody be good to each other. We'll do something again. We'll do this again tomorrow night. And with that, I just want to say, malcontent out and be good to each other. Good night.
Malcontent News is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with 3 key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events live as it happens. To defend the First Amendment using our rights of a free press. And to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals, including Black, Indigenous. Subscription to subscribe to Malcontent News. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent.
You fit the profile. You're the malcontent.
Nobody wants to hear the nonsensical ravings of a loudmouth malcontent.
He said malcontents Antifa. Fuck you.
You are the biggest hypocrite on the face of the planet.
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say.